The summer transfer window deadline is approaching. The Premier League season is about to start in a matter of days. In fact, just the next weekend, as I'm recording this video on Sunday, the 16th of August 2026. And just about an hour ago, Arsenal have beaten Manchester City to win the Community Shield in a 3-0 victory that has cemented their status as the best team in England. And with so much going on in the transfer window and so many developments around football this summer, it has been one taxing, in fact, one hell of a summer. And when it comes to the transfer window, there have been some ridiculous deals, especially with clubs like Tottenham and Liverpool. The entire Vinicius to Arsenal saga, which was as crazy as it sounded, ultimately it didn't come to fruition. In fact, it might not even have been close to coming to fruition. Mikhailo Mudryk came back from his ban and is now supposed to go on loan for the next season. And perhaps he could be even back playing for Chelsea at the highest level. Anything can happen in football. You can never guess what is going to happen. And so is the case with Enzo Fernandez. Because after all the events that have occurred this year, after all that has gone on in this entire summer, from the springtime to August now, the entire Enzo saga has now left everyone taxed and bored. And in fact has annoyed a lot of people. Because after Enzo had flirted with the idea of living in Madrid, potentially moving to Madrid, and the entire Real Madrid thing, where they even officially released a statement claiming that they were not planning to sign Enzo Fernandez. And then the talks with Man City started, they strengthened. And what happened this week was Chelsea had reportedly given Man City a deadline, or any other club a deadline, to sign Enzo Fernandez by paying £120 million for him by Friday 5 p.m. And that didn't happen. Man City did not bid anything by Friday. Some reports said that there was a verbal offer around the range of £105 million mark, but that wasn't accepted by Chelsea, and it was never going to be. When you look at it from Chelsea's lens, that was something that was never going to happen. And as the reports have now come out, although there is a much stronger belief that Enzo Fernandez will end up staying at Chelsea, now that the transfer window is approaching its end, interest still remains from Man City's side, interest still remains from Enzo Maresca's side. Enzo Fernandez might just be able to secure a move to Manchester City before the deadline approaches. How that is going to be, it is going to be a completely different structure. It might just be a higher fee than 120 million. It might just have some different terms, a different way in which the deal is planned, in a different way in the way the deal is structured. Something has to change, and it wouldn't be a straight up 120 million deal as Chelsea had presented with their terms up until Friday. But now, since that is not going to happen, naturally many Chelsea fans are annoyed. And although Enzo isn't looking like a miserable player in the trading, he didn't look sad or like he wanted to leave the club when he played for Chelsea yesterday against Real Sociedad in the preseason game, where Chelsea also won 3-1. It doesn't feel like there is any sense of regret or any sense of animosity towards either of the parties, towards either Enzo or Chelsea. If Enzo does end up staying at Chelsea, it seems like both are content with the idea of that happening. But still, Enzo does pretty much want to leave Chelsea. And if he didn't, all these news wouldn't have been coming out. If he didn't want to leave Chelsea, his agents, his side, the player's side wouldn't have been trying so hard to secure a move away from Chelsea. He could have simply said no to all of this. And if he isn't, it's just a completely craziest thing ever. It's like the Zion Suzuki saga, who, if you don't know, couldn't secure his move to PSG because of some issues with the player's own side. But ultimately, he has now secured, as the reports say, a move to Aston Villa, which is not bad. But a move to PSG, the best team in the world, it would have been something else. And it doesn't seem like that is what is going on with Enzo Fernandez. So whatever is going on, Enzo does have a lot of say in it. And if Enzo and Chelsea are both content with the idea of him staying at the club, why not just go ahead with it, and why not just let Xabi Alonso get the best out of him, as what the reports say Chelsea expect Xabi Alonso to do. They expect him to bring out the best in Enzo Fernandez, and they genuinely do believe so, and they genuinely do have a reason to believe so, considering the kind of player Xabi Alonso was, all the skills that he had, all that he experienced within the game, all that he has to teach to the players, that he has to give to the players, especially to a player like Enzo Fernandez, who can do so well, who can learn so much from Xabi Alonso. In fact, Alonso might just be better than many of the Chelsea midfielders right now even. And Enzo Fernandez in that scenario can genuinely become the best midfielder in the world if he could learn something from Xabi Alonso. And Chelsea are not wrong in thinking so. Chelsea are not wrong in assuming that that could happen. But if that has to happen, Enzo has to be fully committed to Chelsea. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like that is happening. So if Chelsea do end up selling Enzo, they do have a reason to. It's not like the player is 100% focused on the club. But it's not like Enzo doesn't have a reason to be. Because Chelsea have not fulfilled the promises that they had made to all these players when they had signed them. Especially Enzo, who was supposed to be the star of the project, and in a lot of ways was, as I've said, this entire summer from the springtime till now. Enzo was supposed to be the star of the project, and he has been in a lot of ways. He has been perhaps Chelsea's best player in the past 2 seasons. And he has been a major reason as to why Chelsea had that bit of a success that they had in the past year or so. Enzo does deserve a lot better than what Chelsea has to offer to him at the moment. But undoubtedly, Chelsea's future looks a lot better than what their present is. Especially under Xabi Alonso, there is a lot of potential and there is a lot of promise. So Enzo perhaps could show a little more faith in the project. But if he does it is completely justified as well. So it's a completely ridiculous saga where the player and the club both are at fault to an extent, but you can't blame either of the side for whatever is happening either. So whatever ends up happening, it will be for the better. If Enzo does end up going to City, it will be for the better. If Enzo does end up staying at Chelsea, it will be for the better as well. But whatever has to happen, it has to happen quickly, and it has to have a definitive answer to all this saga that has been going on this entire summer. Because if Chelsea are to sell Enzo, they need to have a replacement lined up, and replacing a player with the status, with the caliber, with the mentality that Enzo has, it would take some time, and Chelsea might just have to break their bank for that, like they did for Morgan Rogers last month. But that has to happen quickly. If that has to happen, then perhaps that is why Chelsea did give Man City that deadline of Friday. And that didn't lead to anything. So I'm not sure if anything is going to lead to Enzo leaving Chelsea ultimately, unless something miraculous happens. I'm not sure how open Chelsea would be to listening to other offers. And definitely it would have to be a ridiculously good offer for Chelsea to even consider selling Enzo now. But if this deal does end up going to the deadline day, it would be something embarrassing to an extent. And it would be something that neither of the club would want to deal with in the future. And now that Man City have lost to Arsenal just about an hour ago, and it has been an embarrassing loss for Man City. If you saw the Community Shield game today, it was genuinely an embarrassing loss for Man City. And the dynamics of the Premier League as they are looking right now, you have no idea how Man City are going to play this season. You have no idea how Man United are going to play. They didn't look the best in the preseason. They didn't look the best against Ruben Amorim's AC Milan just a couple of days ago. In fact, they looked very unfit, and they looked like they were completely unprepared. They couldn't even break Ruben Amorim's tactics. They didn't have an answer to Ruben Amorim's Milan's challenges. And that was something really embarrassing to see, because Amorim hasn't even had the best of pre-seasons. He lost to Chelsea 3-0. And now Chelsea are looking somewhat good, somewhat capable. They did suffer losses to Spurs and Juventus, but they did have wins against Sydney, against Milan, and against Sociedad now. So Spurs are looking somewhat good. Spurs might just go on to do something good in this Premier League season. Villa are looking somewhat good still, even after selling Morgan Rogers. They only lost 2-1 to PSG. Brian Macho scored a brilliant goal at just 17 years of age. Villa are looking pretty good in this Premier League season. They still do look like a side that could challenge for the top 4 still. They could go on to do something in the Champions League. Maybe they could go to the quarterfinals or something like that. Emery's Villa, De Zerbi's Spurs, and Alonso's Chelsea, they are looking like some great teams. And you still don't know what to expect from Liverpool, because Although Iraola is a great manager, the Liverpool squad isn't looking like the best or the strongest of Liverpool squads that we've seen in the past decade or so, the past decade and a half. It still will be an interesting thing when it comes to Liverpool. Sunderland and Bournemouth are two interesting clubs to look at. The Premier League, on the whole, is going to be a very interesting league to watch the next season, which now is about to start in just like 6 days or something. It will be one of the most interesting seasons that we've seen in a long time in the Premier League, especially when it comes to all the managers that have been appointed. I've said it the entire summer. I've said it 2 months ago. The managers, the possibilities in this Premier League seasons, they're completely wild. There are wild possibilities in this. There are wild possibilities in this Premier League season. Whatever is going to happen, it's going to be something really extraordinary. Arsenal still do feel like the favourite still for the Premier League, but who is going to qualify for the top 4? And if Arsenal are going to receive a challenge, definitely Man City are going to still compete for the 2nd and 3rd positions even after suffering this loss. Even they are still Man City. They still have that ridiculously good squad. They still have Haaland, they still have Doku, they still have Semenyo and Rodri, and even if Rodri does end up going to Barcelona, they still have many other players. They still have Elliot Anderson, who has come in this season. It is Man City, and they're always going to do well. They're always going to be the top 4. But what is going to happen with other clubs, it's very interesting to see. And this Enzo saga, this whatever is going on with Chelsea, it's a really confusing thing right now. Because Liam Delap and Nicholas Jackson, they didn't play either for Chelsea yesterday. And both have been linked with moves away from the club. And as much as Jackson would benefit Chelsea staying at the club because he's still the best striker except Joao Pedro at the club, he's still better than Danny Welbeck. Whatever you want to say, he's still better than him, and he still offers Chelsea a whole new dimension in the attack going forward. He can still create a lot of chances. He does bring in that spontaneity that Chelsea want to have in their squad, and he can still contribute a lot to Chelsea. And Chelsea do not have any player who could strongly replace Jackson. And I don't think they will go on to buy. I don't think they will go on to sign another striker this window. They absolutely wouldn't do that. Emega probably wouldn't stay at the club. It's a really confusing thing if Chelsea do end up selling Nicholas Jackson. And reports have been in the past few days that Cesc Fabregas at Como does want to sign Liam Delap, but Delap does not want to go to Como, which is a mind-boggling thing to me, because Como is a ridiculously good project. There was Cesc Fabregas who could completely transform Delap's game, and he could genuinely improve Delap's game. The Serie A is a league probably much more suited to Delap's game than the Premier League, and it is much better to play in a Champions League team with Como in the Serie A than to play in some lower ranked club in the Premier League, because no top club in the Premier League is genuinely going to sign him, and Chelsea are not going to compete at the top level this season. The next season isn't even guaranteed what is going to happen. So it is a really confusing thing with Liam Delap, and Como is it's amazing, it's a beautiful place to even stay at. So it's a transfer that not happening simply doesn't make sense. Delap not moving to Como is one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard. It is simply better for the player and for every party involved in that deal. It is something that I simply can't wrap my head around. So whatever ends up happening in this transfer window, whatever ends up happening with Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, even Man United, and whatever happens going into the league with Man United and Spurs, could Spurs end up in the top 4, top 5, top 6, and could Man United falter from finishing at those places? I still think that is a strong possibility of happening. Man United might just not finish in the top 6. But Spurs might just qualify for the Champions League. That is a genuine possibility. What is going to happen with Newcastle? It is still a difficult season to predict when it comes to the Premier League. What is going to happen in this Premier League season? I still don't know. And I'm going to make my prediction for this Premier League season right now. The top 4 would be Chelsea, Spurs, Man City, and Arsenal. Now, this might not be in the same order that I've said, but I do think these would be the 4 teams qualifying for the Champions League: Chelsea, Spurs, Man City, and Arsenal. And Arsenal do obviously have the strongest chance of winning the league. But whatever happens, it will be a season to watch. And it is a season that I cannot wait to start watching. And I would absolutely love to be a part of the season. So just give me a call if you want me to be. Anyways, that was it for the video. I'll see you guys really, really soon. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter, if you want to read my articles on sports, culture, movies, TV, whatever, the link is in the description below. Go check it out. Subscribe to the channel if you like the video. Check out my Instagram Reels or my YouTube Shorts as you've seen. The link would be in my bio. And I'll see you guys really, really soon. This is our signing off again.